In the quiet, unassuming town of Texarkana, nestled on the border of Texas and Arkansas, life in the 1940s was simple and predictable. But beneath the surface of this peaceful community lurked a terror that would forever change its history. The year was 1946. World War II had just ended, and the nation was beginning to heal. However, for the residents of Texarkana, a new kind of fear was about to take hold. It all began on a dark, lonely road, where two young lovers parked their car, seeking a moment of privacy. Little did they know, they were not alone. A shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, a man whose face was obscured by a white mask. He was the Phantom Killer, a name that would soon be whispered in fear throughout the town. Over the next few months, this faceless terror would claim the lives of 5 innocent people, leaving a trail of fear and uncertainty in his wake. As the sun dipped below the horizon on February 22, 1946, Texarkana was cloaked in a deceptive calm. A pair of headlights cut through the darkness, winding along a secluded stretch of road. Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jeanne Larey, a young couple, sought a quiet place to escape the world for a moment. They parked their car, unaware of the nightmare about to unfold. From the shadows, a figure emerged. He wore a white mask that concealed his face, but his intentions were unmistakably sinister. With a blinding flashlight, he ordered the couple out of the car. The terror in their eyes was palpable. Jimmy was brutally beaten, his skull fractured, while Mary Jeanne was subjected to a horrific assault. The attacker vanished into the night, leaving the couple for dead. Miraculously, they survived, but the scars, both physical and emotional, would never fade. News of the attack spread like wildfire, casting a shadow of dread over Texarkana. The Phantom Killer had announced his presence, and the town would never feel safe again. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. The Phantom Killer's reign of terror was far from over. As news of the first attack spread, Texarkana's tranquil nights turned into restless vigils. The once peaceful town was now gripped by an almost palpable fear. Residents double-checked their locks, peered through drawn curtains, and whispered in hushed tones about the shadowy figure that haunted their streets. Rumors flew like wildfire. Some said he was a vengeful ghost. Others believed he was a deranged local. The truth was, no one knew who the Phantom Killer was, and that uncertainty only fueled the panic. Local law enforcement was overwhelmed. They increased patrols and urged citizens to stay indoors after dark. Yet, the fear continued to spread, seeping into every corner of the community. Town meetings were held, where worried voices demanded answers and solutions. But the authorities had little to offer beyond promises of increased vigilance. The sense of helplessness was suffocating. People began to take matters into their own hands. Guns and ammunition flew off the shelves, and vigilante groups formed, patrolling the streets at night. Despite these efforts, the Phantom Killer remained elusive, a ghostly figure that slipped through their fingers time and time again. The fear and uncertainty took a toll on the town's psyche. Social gatherings dwindled, businesses suffered, and a once tight-knit community began to unravel. The Phantom Killer had not just attacked individuals, he'd attacked the very heart of Texarkana. The town of Texarkana was already on edge, but the Phantom Killer was far from finished. On a quiet Sunday night, March 24th, 1946, the tranquility was shattered once more. Richard Griffin, a 29-year-old war veteran, and his girlfriend Polly Ann Moore, just 17, decided to spend some time together in a secluded lover's lane. Little did they know, the Phantom was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their car was found the next morning by a passing motorist. The scene was gruesome. Richard was found between the front seats on his knees, his head resting on his crossed hands, as if in a final, desperate prayer. Polly Ann lay sprawled across the back seat. Both had been shot in the back of the head, execution style. The brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through Texarkana. The town's worst fears were confirmed. The Phantom Killer was back, and he was more ruthless than ever. The police were at a loss, with no witnesses and no clear motive. The only thing they knew for certain was that the Phantom had struck again, and he was likely to strike again soon. As the town mourned the loss of Richard and Polly Ann, the fear reached a fever pitch. The streets emptied as night fell, and the once lively community became a ghost town. The Phantom Killer's reign of terror was far from over, and Texarkana braced itself for the next attack. As the town of Texarkana reeled from the gruesome murders of Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore, investigators began to notice a chilling pattern in the Phantom Killer's attacks. Each incident bore the hallmarks of a methodical and ruthless predator. The Phantom seemed to have a morbid fascination with lovers' lanes, choosing secluded spots where couples sought privacy. This choice of location ensured minimal witnesses and maximum terror. The Phantom's modus operandi was disturbingly consistent. He struck under the cover of darkness, often on weekends, when his victims were most likely to be out. He used a flashlight to blind and disorient his targets before attacking. The weapon of choice was a .32 caliber pistol, used with precision to deliver fatal shots to the head, execution style. This signature method left no room for survival, ensuring that the victims had no chance to identify their assailant. But the Phantom's tactics went beyond mere violence. He seemed to take a perverse pleasure in the psychological torment he inflicted on the town. By targeting young couples, he struck at the heart of the community's sense of safety and normalcy. The randomness of the attacks created a pervasive sense of dread. No one knew where or when he would strike next, and every darkened street and shadowy corner became a potential threat. The police were left scrambling, trying to piece together any clues that could lead to the Phantom's capture. They conducted extensive interviews, set up roadblocks, and increased patrols, but the killer remained elusive. The fear that gripped Texarkana was palpable, and the Phantom seemed to thrive on it. As we delve deeper into the Phantom Killer's reign of terror, we begin to understand the calculated and cold-blooded nature of his crimes. His ability to evade capture and maintain an aura of mystery only added to the legend of the Phantom Killer. As the Phantom Killer's reign of terror continued, the once peaceful town of Texarkana found itself transformed into a community on edge. Residents locked their doors at night, and the streets emptied much earlier than usual. The fear was pervasive, and the search for the Phantom became an all-consuming mission for both law enforcement and the townspeople. Local and state police worked tirelessly, conducting door-to-door searches and questioning anyone who might have seen or heard something. The FBI was called in to assist, and the manhunt extended beyond Texarkana's borders. Roadblocks were established, and officers patrolled the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive killer. Citizens formed neighborhood watch groups, determined to protect their families and friends. The local newspaper published daily updates, keeping the community informed but also stoking the flames of fear. Rumors and speculations ran rampant, with many convinced that the Phantom was someone they knew, a neighbor, a co-worker, or even a friend. Despite these efforts, the Phantom continued to evade capture, slipping through the cracks like a ghost. His ability to remain hidden only heightened the sense of dread that hung over Texarkana. The town's collective anxiety reached a fever pitch, and trust among residents began to erode. People looked over their shoulders, suspicious of even the most familiar faces. In one particularly desperate move, law enforcement set up decoys, hoping to lure the Phantom into a trap. Officers disguised as couples would park in lovers' lanes, waiting in the darkness for the killer to strike. But the Phantom seemed to sense the ruse, never taking the bait. The search for the Phantom was relentless, but the killer's cunning and unpredictability made him a formidable foe. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the community's hope for a swift resolution began to wane. The Phantom Killer had left an indelible mark on Texarkana, a scar that would take years to heal. As the town of Texarkana remained on edge, the Phantom Killer's reign of terror was far from over. On the night of May 3, 1946, the Phantom struck again, this time targeting a farmhouse on the outskirts of town. Virgil Starks, a 37-year-old farmer, was at home with his wife, Katie. Unbeknownst to them, the Phantom was lurking in the shadows, ready to unleash another wave of horror. It was a quiet evening, and Virgil was sitting in his living room, listening to his favorite radio show. Katie was in the bedroom, preparing for bed. Suddenly, without warning, a shot rang out, shattering the tranquility of their home. The bullet struck Virgil in the back of the head, killing him instantly. Katie, startled by the noise, rushed to the living room, only to find her husband slumped over in his chair, blood pooling around him. Before she could react, another shot was fired, this time striking her in the face. Despite her injuries, Katie managed to summon the strength to flee the house, running to a neighbor's home for help. The brutal attack on the Starks' farmhouse sent shockwaves through the already terrified community. The Phantom Killer had shown that no one was safe, not even in the supposed sanctuary of their own home. As news of the attack spread, the town's fear intensified, and the search for the elusive killer became even more desperate. Law enforcement agencies from across the region converged on Texarkana, determined to put an end to the Phantom's reign of terror. Roadblocks were set up, and officers patrolled the streets day and night. But despite their best efforts, the Phantom remained one step ahead, slipping through their grasp like smoke. The murder of Virgil Starks marked the final known attack by the Phantom Killer, but the scars he left on the community would never fully heal. The town of Texarkana was forever changed, haunted by the memory of a faceless killer who struck without warning and vanished without a trace. The murder of Virgil Starks marked the final known attack by the Phantom Killer, but the hunt for the faceless murderer was far from over. Law enforcement agencies from across the region converged on Texarkana, determined to put an end to the Phantom's reign of terror. Roadblocks were set up, and officers patrolled the streets day and night. But despite their best efforts, the Phantom remained one step ahead, slipping through their grasp like smoke. As the community grappled with the fear and uncertainty, investigators began to piece together clues, hoping to unmask the elusive killer. Several suspects emerged, each with their own mysterious pasts and potential motives. Yet, for every promising lead, there seemed to be an insurmountable dead end. One of the primary suspects was U.L. Swinney, a local car thief with a history of violent behavior. Swinney was arrested in July 1946, and his wife Peggy provided a detailed confession implicating him in the murders. However, her testimony was later deemed unreliable, and without concrete evidence, Swinney was never formally charged with the Phantom killings. Another suspect was a mysterious figure known only as the Trombone Man. This individual was reportedly seen lurking near the sites of several attacks, but despite extensive questioning, no solid evidence ever linked him to the crimes. Theories also swirled around a local man named Henry Booker Tennyson, who committed suicide in 1948, leaving behind a cryptic note that some interpreted as a confession. However, many believed the note was nothing more than the ramblings of a troubled mind, and Tennyson's involvement in the murders remains highly disputed. As the years passed, the trail grew colder, and the once vibrant investigation dwindled. The Phantom Killer's identity remained shrouded in mystery, leaving Texarkana to grapple with the haunting legacy of the Moonlight murders. As the years turned into decades, the story of the Phantom Killer evolved into a chilling legend, a ghostly figure haunting the memories of Texarkana. Whispers of the Moonlight murders became part of the town's folklore, a grim reminder of an era engulfed by fear and uncertainty. Residents who lived through the terror passed down stories to younger generations, each retelling adding layers to the mystery. Some claimed to have seen the Phantom's ghost wandering the streets at night, while others believed the killer was still alive, hiding in plain sight. Local lore was filled with eerie coincidences and unexplained occurrences that seemed to point back to the Phantom. Despite the passage of time, interest in the case never waned. True crime. Enthusiasts, amateur sleuths, and professional investigators alike pored over old case files, hoping to uncover new clues. Documentaries and books kept the story alive, each one offering fresh theories and perspectives on the identity of the Phantom Killer. One of the most enduring aspects of the legend is the belief that the Phantom was more than just a man. He was a symbol of the darkest corners of human nature. The fear he dismissed in Texarkana was not just of a physical threat, but of the unknown and the unseen. To this day, the Moonlight murders serve as a stark reminder of how fragile the veneer of safety can be, and how deeply a community can be scarred by violence. The terror of the Phantom Killer's reign may have ended, but his legacy continues to haunt Texarkana. The Moonlight murders left a permanent scar on the town, a reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present shadows of fear. For the families of the victims, the pain of loss never truly fades. Their loved ones' lives were cut short by a faceless monster, and the lack of closure only deepened their sorrow. Memorials and tributes stand as silent witnesses to the tragedy, a testament to lives taken too soon. Texarkana itself changed in the wake of the attacks. The once quiet streets became the backdrop for one of America's most enduring mysteries. The fear that gripped the town in 1946 has long since dissipated, but the story of the Phantom Killer remains a chilling chapter in its history. Each year, the town holds a remembrance ceremony, ensuring that the victims are never forgotten and that the lessons of that dark time are passed on. The Phantom Killer's story also serves as a stark reminder of the limits of human understanding. Despite advances in forensic science and investigative techniques, the identity of the Phantom remains elusive. The case has become a symbol of the unknown, a puzzle that resists solving. It challenges us to confront the uncomfortable truth that some mysteries may never be unraveled. As we reflect on the haunting legacy of the Phantom Killer, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit. Texarkana endured, adapted, and continued to thrive despite the shadow cast by the Moonlight murders. The town's story is one of survival and remembrance, a testament to the strength of a community united in the face of terror. Join us next time as we delve into another chilling tale, exploring the depths of human nature and the mysteries that continue to captivate us. Until then, remember to stay vigilant, for the shadows are never far away.